Every time it felt Sevilla went forward, they scored. Real Madrid were dreadful.
Yeah, they really were. And as you say, it's curious for I think for two reasons. Obviously, one of them is the one that you say, that you're in the dressing room before the game and you suddenly find yourself in a position where you're given an opportunity that you didn't anticipate. Then you would expect them to go and take that. The other side of this is that this is Sevilla you're playing. OK, so, you know, obviously Real Madrid can go into some games cold. They can go into some games perhaps not expecting the kind of onslaught that they got at the Sánchez Pizjuán. But it's Sevilla. And as I've said, this is now 4 league games in a row that they've lost at the Sánchez Pizjuán. They knew what to expect. Now, that's not to say it's easy to counteract, but it is to say that there should have been some awareness, there should have been some competitive tension. The first Sevilla chance comes after 18 seconds. By the time Sevilla score, which is only 17 minutes into the game, it's their 4th good chance of the match. And Sevilla just completely overwhelmed Real Madrid, just bombing past them all the way through. In particular, and it's not fair to isolate a single player, but it felt like part of the tactics was to do that. In particular, they tore Marcelo to bits.
Yeah, Marcelo on that far side was exposed so many times, Shaq. How do you explain this? Like, from a player's perspective, how can you drop the ball so badly?
Yeah, I'm not sure how you explain this, but it's concerning. When you see Barcelona do what they do, and I always feel that when you play after, it's more a psychological battle. And that's the challenge for Real Madrid team and players who are trying to prove their worth and that there's life after Cristiano Ronaldo. Now Barcelona opened the door for you to at least leapfrog them in terms of the league table. And yes, as much as Sevilla may be a bogey team, you expect more. You expect this team to show a certain level of toughness that just similarly went flying out that very door that Barcelona left open. I'm not sure how you explain it, and it's on these players to prove that they are made of tougher stuff than what we saw.
I would turn that around and say, okay, you know that Sevilla is uncomfortable for you away from home. And so therefore, even more to the point, you have to defend better when you come out in the first half. It can't be that 30 minutes in, Sevilla has had 4 and 5 breakaway opportunities. So where is the focus? Where is the preparation? Where is the mindset of saying...
leaders?
Yeah, where is the leadership? And where is the mindset of saying, okay, look, we haven't historically played well here over the last 4 seasons or what have you, and now we have an opportunity to jump ahead Barcelona. Hey, let's make sure we get this part of the game first. We sort that out, and then we allow our talented players to take over. Then we frustrate Sevilla, and then we let the talent to take over in the final third. But you didn't see any of that from Real Madrid.
Of course, Barca, Real Madrid still top of the table, level on points, 2 ahead of Atletico Madrid. Who was last night worse for?
Well, I mean, I suppose it was worse for Barcelona in the fact that it was much more unexpected. Bear in mind that while it's true that Real Madrid losing is always news, the fact that they lose in Sevilla is not a huge piece of news. This is the 4th season in a row that they've been beaten at the Sánchez Pizjuán. It's the 6th time in the last 7 visits in La Liga. And on the morning of the game, to give you an example, one of the headlines of one of the 2 big Madrid sports dailies was that this was a game of high risk. The game at Leganes shouldn't have been a game of high risk. It shouldn't have been a game of any risk at all. So from that point of view, you would say it was worse for Barcelona. And yet, despite the fact that Barcelona played really, really poorly, certainly in the second half of their game, Real Madrid were even worse.
See, the interesting thing I thought from that Barcelona game was when Leganes got those 2 quick goals, you expected some sort of retaliation from Barca, but there didn't seem to be any reaction really at all.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that is the most striking thing. You know, it's relatively normal for a team to get 1-0 up and let the game drift, but then you expect some sort of response when you suddenly find yourself 2-0 down. Barcelona, of course, conceded 2 goals in 68 seconds, which, bearing in mind that your average team celebrates for, what, 45 seconds? Perhaps the ball in play between the 2 goals is no more than kind of 15, 20 seconds. They get caught out. But at that stage, you know, it's minute 53, I think. So they've got well over half an hour to try and find a way back into this game. They're up against a side who were bottom of the table, who of course hadn't won all season, and they are then in a position where, all right, they've started with a slightly weakened team, but Jordi Alba comes on, Luis Suarez comes on, they bring on Malcolm to replace Dembele, and they basically didn't find a way through at all. They created 1 chance, which turned out to be 2 because it was a brilliant save, and then the follow-up provoked a second brilliant save. Apart from that, Barcelona created nothing, and I think you're right in saying that it wasn't just that they didn't play well. Is that there wasn't a response. There wasn't even any kind of sense of rebellion. There didn't even seem to be any sense of anger or disappointment at the fact that they were 2-1 down. The game just drifted away from them.
It was weird, wasn't it, Ali? Because we thought, right, oh, don't worry. You know, good for Leganes, they took the lead, but, you know, inevitably Barcelona score and go on and win it. But they didn't, and didn't even, as Sid said, look like it.
It was lifeless from Barcelona. And really, at some point, you thought, do they even care? Are they out there just kind of knocking the ball around, and it's just, well, now we're frustrated, and now we're not even bothered? And that's not the image that you want to get from Barcelona, certainly. A team that has so much talent out on the field, and let's not forget who they were playing against. It's Leganes.
Yep.
It's Leganes. It's Leganes. And so at that point, you expect that response would come, and that's the concerning part. Barcelona is going to give up goals because of the way that they play and because of the way that they defend. But that there wasn't any sort of response, there was no challenge by Barcelona and no impact from the difference makers in the final third. And that's Messi, and that's Coutinho, and Luis Suarez, and everybody else. Nothing from those three. That's the part that you got to take a look at and not be satisfied.